Sup, pussies? It's your boy. Hi, I'm Kyle. And today's episode is going to be a bit of a strange one, a little bit of a throwback, a little bit of talking to the camera, and a little bit of some editing tips. Maybe. Either way, cool car, good times. Let's go. Perfect. That was it. I've had an idea for lighting for a car shot just burning in my mind for months now. And it requires those long LED, super cool colored light up tubes things. And I managed to find some on Kickstarter. They're pretty shitty, but I got 5 of them and they showed up. So today's video is kind of a proof of concept. So we managed to get from Porsche Center, Oscar and Baerum, a Panamera Turbo S. That is the 680 horsepower hybrid 4-wheel drive monster 4-door saloon. Sport Turismo looks super pretty. What a car. And the idea for the shot was built around this long snowy road with snow on the trees and stars in the sky, and then these awesome lights just lighting up the whole path. So that was the idea. So curtains open. We find ourselves in the driver's seat of a Porsche Panamera Turbo S. We only had one evening to get this shot, and we needed some snow, so we headed towards Norderfjell to go find that mountainous, snowy, tree-lined road vibe that we've been looking for. So we headed up there. We totally didn't get stuck.
What happened?
Stuck. Like I said, totally weren't stuck. So we headed on, kept our heads down, and found the first distraction on the way to the actual shot that we wanted to take. But hey, this was a pretty cool shot instead. So check this out. Okay, so we got the frame, happy with it. We got cabins in the background, we got stars. We had to sacrifice some of the ski run over there, but I think the photo was too wide and goofy. I think this one looks a lot cooler. The road sweeps out through the photo to the cabins, just tells that whole story. I think it's cool. So now we need to balance all the lights. We need to get light on the car, do a long exposure to get light in the backdrop, and then do a long enough exposure to get light in the stars. The goal is to match all the lights so the directions all feel natural and it doesn't feel kind of like, wait, but that doesn't make sense because the light's coming from there. In which case, the trick is to start with one light and then add from there. Just like building an outfit. You start with one piece and then you add the accessories. So, one light. We're starting with this one. We're gonna start at whatever, some random power. Let's go 6. We don't want it to be too strong, so we'll stop at 6 stops and then we'll just push it up because every car looks better when the shadows are being dropped straight down. So this will go high. I think most of the light is coming from the apartments, so I think the atmospheric light will be from that direction. How cool they look. So rad. That looks like a fantasy. That's so strange. Yeah. Go up pretty high. That looks good. And then if you go to the front of the car, yeah, front 45, right there is perfect. Okay, that looks good. If you go to the other front corner of the car, just to try to mimic the cabins a little bit, I think we're good. What we can try to do is if you turn on the modeling lamp and then just make it warm, try to make it match the cabins. That should be perfect. That matches perfect. You might have to walk with it, actually. Yeah. stop there. Can you turn it down, like, all the way? Just in power? Yeah, that's fine. So if you walk pretty fast, just past the car with it pointed at the car. Okay, go for it. Okay, one more. Starting from up front. So from there, go ahead. Nice, perfect.
The idea behind this photo was to think in layers. So we're gonna open all these images as layers in Photoshop. And once they're there, we're gonna light and blend all of them on top of each other, which is gonna reveal all the light from the one beneath it. Once we got all these perfectly lit, we're gonna play around with some of the masking and try to get rid of the artifacts that we don't need, like the direct light bulbs that are shining straight at the photo, some of the weird shadows, some of the strange dark parts of the photo that I don't think really belong. Try to balance out the lighting on the car, in the cabins behind it, and just play with the photo a bit until it cleans up. Once that's done, it's time to start thinking about adding some motion to the shot. So step one is the painstaking process of penning the car out. Use the pen tool, go around the curves of the car, try to get as smooth of a cut as possible. Once that's done, you have to make your selection and add that selection as a new layer on top of the old one. But now we need a clean slate without the car that we can add motion to. So it's time to start erasing the car from the empty background slate to really make an empty background slate. Once you've cleaned up a blank slate, it's time to add some path blur to the photo. That's going to give you the full amount of control over which way the camera's moving through the photo. Not super dramatic, but enough that you get a little bit of movement in the foreground. Once you've done that, keep another clean slate that you can add a clear, non-moving sky because things in the distance don't move when you're driving next to them. Separate the wheels, add some motion to those with the path blur tool, and you're ready to go. This might take a second because my computer is slow today. Save it back into Lightroom, do some color correcting, get this shit popping, and there you go. The next location was the one. This is the one that we left for. This is the one I had in mind. I wanted a long, narrow street with snow covering trees just alongside with a little bit of stars popping up. And we did manage to find one that I thought was perfect. So it's time to set up the photo. Step one was to pick the angle that we wanted, put the car right there, and then set up the camera for the shot that I thought I needed to get. I set the camera a bit high so I could get a lot of detail on the sides of the roads, and the car didn't block some of the tops of the trees at the end of the road, and we are off and running. Now, the idea with this photo is it gets a bit complicated when it comes to post-production. So you have to think in terms of the Photoshop layers while you're shooting the photo. And with that, we had to light the scene accordingly. So we were thinking in terms of three major photos. One was the background with the stars, one was the lighting on the car, and one was the lighting alongside the road.
What do you think? Something like that. Straight from the back, centered, and then all the lights going up. Perfect. That was it.
There we go. We got all our layers in Lightroom, highlight them all, open them as layers in Photoshop, And this will make everything super easy to work with. Once we're here, start to light and blend each on top of each other so you allow the light from the one below it to seep into the one that you're blending. So there we go. Now we got a long row of lights and the stars sticking out above. Not so difficult, right? The next step is to mask out the parts that are blending that we don't want to blend. Then it took some aligning of the shot with the snow getting pushed out the back of the tires because that was shot completely separately. Some fine tuning on the color, some adjustments here and there so it looks believable. And then adding a little bit of fog at the end, a little bit of motion to the tires, and I think we got something that proves the idea that I had in my head. And guess what? This will not be the end of this technique. I will definitely be coming back to this to perfect it. As a proof of concept, I think this works really well. I really love the idea. I love thinking in layers. I like trying to think ahead of time of the way I'm going to be working with the photo because you can't really just shoot the photo and then figure it out afterwards. This is something that you have to put together in your mind before you press the shutter button. So I think it was fun. It was a challenge. It was tough, and the car was fantastic. I had the car for a little bit longer, so here are a couple photos that I shot before the trip. Check them out. Let me know what you think. I am coming back to this concept for sure, and I'm gonna nail it perfectly. But next time, I'm gonna focus a bit more on lighting the car better, and we'll see how it goes. For now, thank you for stopping by.